of all, congrats on hosting such a great and awesome event here in Germany. We very much enjoyed it, and good job for the first time here in Berlin. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about innovative payment method called SEPA Direct Debit. So a lot of Germans will know it because it has been around here for quite some time under the name Lastschriftverfahren, and now quite recently it has been internationalized. It's now international, and what it is now, it's a cross-European payment method, and I'm here to tell you about the chances and risks for repeat and recurring business models. So I want to outline real quick 4 chances of SEPA Direct Debit, and this is reach, cost, customer lifetime, and the fact that it's merchant managed. And then lastly, I wanted to show you 2 risks or pitfalls to avoid. And this is a risk scoring that you have to do or should do, and what you can do around CRM. So first of all, to outline the chances of SEPA Direct Debit. I don't know, I've talked to a lot of companies here, and my impression was that not a lot of people know about SEPA Direct Debit yet, especially those of you who are joining us from Poland. So I think it's a good idea to start with a little introduction. What is SEPA? Single Euro Payments Area. It's an EU initiative to harmonize the payment or money transfer system across all Eurozone. So what that means is, regardless of if your bank account is in Spain or let's say in Italy, you can wire the money from one bank account to the other, regardless of the location of the bank account. And what that means for online merchants is that online merchants can debit amounts that need to be billed online from a lot of accounts. So as you can see, 300 million bank accounts are connected to that SEPA system. And this is a huge chance for the online business to accept payments from those bank accounts without any middleman involved. So, and to further outline the popularity of direct debit throughout the Eurozone, first of all, you will notice that Germans love it. So Germans are in love with direct debit payments. 48% of transactions, of e-commerce transactions in Germany are being paid by direct debit. And by the way, this is a statistic, and I apologize, it's cut off at the bottom. It's a statistic of the European Payments Council of electronic payments. So it does not look at stuff like pay by invoice, but as far as electronic payments online is concerned, people love direct debit, and the most successful countries, or the countries where it's most widely used, is Germany, Spain, Austria, France, Netherlands, and so on and so forth. And so why is that? Why do people love to pay with their bank accounts in those countries? First of all, if you look at the disruption or penetration of credit cards, then you will see that not a lot of Germans have credit cards, in fact, and even if they have, they don't like to use them. So they much rather pay by direct debit, meaning directly from their bank account. Another advantage I'd like to outline from a merchant perspective is cost. If you're having an online business, then one of the biggest cost factors you have is cost of payment. And for credit cards, you pay a couple of % plus a base fee. For PayPal, you pay something very similar. If you look at SEPA Direct Debit, then it's different. You pay something around 10 to 30 euro cents based on the monthly transaction volume, and there's no percentual fee. So what it means is that you can, as a merchant, you can save a lot of money by offering direct debit payments to your customers. One example I wanted to bring up here is Deezer, which is a big music streaming company. It's a Spotify competitor in a lot of countries, including France and Spain. And they switched to SlimPay, the company I work for, because they wanted to get rid of the big credit card costs and credit card fees. They charged $9.99 per month, and they added direct debit because cost was a very big factor in their consideration. And what you can do now, when you sign up for the music streaming service, you can simply put in your bank account number, and you can have the amount debited directly from your bank account every month. Another big factor when we talk about subscription or recurring billing is customer lifetime. Customer lifetime has a big consideration of customer lifetime is churn rate. Churn rate means the drop-off of the customer. So whenever a customer is in the subscription and they cancel the subscription, it's churn, or the customer drops out. And how can you avoid that? One big point to how you can avoid that is you can offer payment methods without expiration date. If you have the user's credit card on file, and let's say Netflix, for instance. Netflix has your credit card on file, and you are in a Netflix subscription, and your credit card expires. Then Netflix will email you saying your card is expired. They cannot further allow you access to the account, and you should log in and update your credit card. What do you do as a customer? You go into Netflix and you think about it twice. Do I really need Netflix? How often did I really watch Netflix in the recent few months? Do I really want to continue my Netflix subscription? So you really start thinking, hey, do I really want to do that or not? So expired payment methods is really one of the main reasons of subscriber churn. And that's the beauty about SEPA Direct Debit. Bank accounts don't expire. People rarely change their bank accounts. People usually stick with their banks. So once they have put in their bank account number at the subscription service, it runs and runs and runs. So there's rarely a case when the bank account changes or expires. So essentially, I don't get to the point thinking, hey, do I really need that Netflix subscription or not? So the point of this slide is that subscriber churn can be really minimized by offering a payment method like direct debit without expiration date. And here's a pretty interesting statistic. 63 of online customers that discontinue the subscription service when the credit card expires. And this is a pretty significant number. And essentially, that can all be avoided by offering payment methods without expiration date. Another case study I wanted to show you is SFR, which is a big carrier in France. And they integrated my company's product, SlimPay. And what they did is they were able to lower the annual churn rate to 3.6%. So essentially less than 4% of customers are dropping out of the subscription of SFR every year. And they were able to really bring that number down by integrating direct debit. So another big advantage is merchant control. What do I mean by that? Merchant control means that online merchants can trigger payments whenever they want or whenever it's necessary. So whenever I make a purchase as a consumer, I can be billed. So as a merchant, I don't have to wait for the customer to wire me the money or to go online, log into my bank account and do some sort of transaction. I can go ahead and pull the money. Since direct debit is a pull payment system, I can call the API, I can pull the amount from the user's bank account whenever they make a purchase. That can be monthly, that can be multiple times a month, that can be different amounts. The merchant is totally in control once the consumer has put their bank account details on file. We always label that as set it and forget it. So I put my bank account details on file, and then whenever I make a purchase, you will probably know it from Amazon. You have your payment method on file, and whenever you buy something by one click, you will be billed automatically in the background. And the payment method direct debit is really ideal for that, because what you can do is you can really save the customer's banking details, and whenever they purchase something on your platform, you will automatically call the API and debit the amount from the customer. Another example of one of the merchants who work with us or work with direct debit is Nespresso, one of the biggest coffee companies out there. Meanwhile, really a lifestyle product. Who hasn't tried an espresso coffee yet? And if you have an Nespresso machine at home and you have ordered a refill of your Nespresso capsules online, you will most probably have paid with SlimPay, my company's product. And what Nespresso does is they simply ask for your bank account number, and then whenever you order another pack of coffee or you have a monthly subscription or something like that, it will automatically be deducted from your bank account. Another example that I wanted to bring up is NGOs or donations. A payment method like direct debit is really popular in the donation space. So Greenpeace does something, does a project with us. I think this one is in France. So after introducing direct debit, they have seen that 1 out of 2 recurring donors in France are using direct debit versus other means of payments. And you see that you have 3 times lower churn rate, so drop-off rate essentially, with direct debit compared to other, compared to cards essentially. So the point is not only commercial businesses who have recurring or subscription products, they use that payment method. Also NGOs or donation organizations like Greenpeace, they use the advantage of SEPA Direct Debit. Another big business where direct debit is being widely used is the MOUT and road toll system. In this case, it's Beep and Go, which is the road toll system in France. And they fully automatically book more than 600K euros in 24 hours over our system, and the customer doesn't have to do anything. They just renew their road toll license, or they cross the toll bridge, and then they are billed automatically in the background. So they have put their bank account details on file once, and whenever they cross the toll bridge or they renew the subscription of that route, they're being billed automatically. They don't have to swipe any card, they don't have to get a ticket or something like that. This is essentially the beauty about a payment method like this. So you just set it, and then you can use the product and go ahead and don't think about the payment anymore. It's so invisible payments. And if you think about My Taxi or Uber, how often have you thought about payments after doing a ride? You've done an Uber ride and you just exit the taxi, and the billing is being done automatically in the background. And this is really a trend we are seeing, that payment more and more gets into the background and gets invisible. And with our system, we try to leverage that trend and that factor, and essentially enable merchants to put payments more and more into the background and out of the customer's minds. Another interesting example I wanted to bring up is that not only in the B2C business is payment by bank account really popular. Companies like TripAdvisor, they start to offer payment by bank account now in the B2B world. So instead of sending out invoices to their advertising partners asking to pay the advertising amount each and every month and waiting and reminding them and waiting again, what they do is they just ask for the business owner's bank account, and whenever that business owner books an ad on TripAdvisor to show up maybe higher in the ranking or some sort of other marketing mechanism, the amount is being deducted from the business owner's bank account automatically at the end of the month, and TripAdvisor doesn't have to wait for the money anymore. So this is one of the examples how direct debit can essentially streamline and enrich also B2B transactions. So lastly, I wanted to get into risks. What are risks of that payment method and what you should watch out for? What are pitfalls here? First of all, it's identity verification. So whenever somebody has your IBAN, your bank account number, they can try and make a purchase. So it's very, very important that you make a real-time scoring or real-time evaluation of that payment attempt. So not only should you check records of publicly available IBANs, you should records of stolen IBANs. You should check the validity of the IBAN, and essentially you should try to get to a point where you say, I'm very, very certain, 100% and 99% certain that this person is now the person who claims to be the owner of that bank account. So this is one of the things that is really important, and our company does this by factoring in 38 different scoring sources that we score real time whenever somebody tries to make a purchase, and then we give out a score from 1 to 10. And depending on the riskiness of the merchant, they can either let through the payment or they can just deny it. But we also work with a lot of utility companies, so your water bill, your electricity bill, your garbage bill every month. So we know you very well, we know your IBAN very well, and if you have a history of stolen IBANs, or your IBAN has been involved in any fraudulent activity, or you oftentimes don't have enough funds on your account and the direct debit purchase won't go through, then we can go ahead and suggest the merchant to block that purchase. So this is essentially outlining what I just said. So we have 38 different factors that we score out of 4 different buckets. So the data set we score is customer data, merchant data, our own SlimPay data, and external data. And out of these 4 buckets, we, in real time, calculate a score. And whenever somebody tries to pay with a IBAN, we give out a risk scoring to the merchant, and they can decide to accept that payment or not. And if that payment is too risky, or it seems like the IBAN is invalid or copied from somebody else, or maybe it's a publicly available IBAN, like the IBAN from Greenpeace, from the Greenpeace website, then we will most likely recommend to the merchant to ask the customer to pay differently. And then a little bit of a complex slide here. And what we also recommend doing is, in case of a failed payment, so whenever somebody doesn't have enough funds on the account, the payment will come back as invalid or as insufficient funds. What do you do then? You have to, do you just let go and try to pay the customer differently, or just you try it again and send them an SMS saying, hey, dear customer, your purchase of $8.99 for Netflix didn't go through. Your Netflix subscription is in danger. We're about to try again in 2 days. Please make sure you have enough funds on the account. So there are some techniques and some tricks what you can do if a payment fails. And this is essentially what we mean with CRM and retry and reminder functionality. So what I think the conclusion of that slide here is try to recover the payment even if the initial payment fails, and just don't give up the payment. Another example is in sports. It's not so well known in Germany, I guess, but it's a big pay TV sports channel in a lot of regions of the world. And what they do is they have picked SlimPay because 2 out of 3 customers actually prefer paying by direct debit versus cards. And they also use our CRM technology by reminding people that there's an upcoming payment, or if the payment fails, they text the customer and remind them to take care of enough funds on the account if the monthly payment fails. So 4 key takeaways I wanted to give you on your way. First of all, SEPA Direct Debit has a very, very broad reach. 34 countries, 500 million consumers can be reached. Secondly, low cost, especially compared to cards and PayPal. It's a payment method that is very, very, very cost efficient. Point 3, I talked about customer lifetime. So bank accounts don't expire, IBANs don't expire. You can effectively reduce churn with such a payment method. And then the 4th point I was talking about was it's important to have a holistic integration and include scoring and CRM functionalities into your payment to avoid fraud and non-payments. That was it. I'm happy to take questions from the audience. Hello? Mine is still active.
Hello? Okay, that one works. So, are there any questions? Please feel free. Okay, so somehow I will start.
Please, go ahead.
The question session. Please tell me why, because we have seen a lot of advantages of such solution. Do you have any analysis or Why isn't it more spread? Is it still the fear of getting your personal data somehow breached, the security cases, even with your security solutions?
So it depends. It depends on the region. So in countries like Germany, the payment method is very, very popular, and people don't really have any security concerns. They really have concerns about entering credit card details online, but much rather prefer entering their bank account detail online. In other regions, the concept of payments directly from bank accounts is fairly new. So in, let's say, Eastern Europe or Southern European countries, direct debit hasn't been around for that long time, like in Germany. So people need to adapt to that. Consumers need to adapt to that. And I think a lot of that also depends on the upcoming recurring billing business models. So with the subscription and recurring business models, there will also come the need for payment methods that can support those models. And I think there's the big advantage to payment methods like cards or other one-time payment methods.
Okay. So are there any other questions?
Does anybody not have a direct debit payment set up on their bank account? I think everybody has here.
Okay. In that way, you can meet each other during the session today.
All right.
So right now, thank you very much. Big applause, please.